Captain Mayachin had visited many planets during her 10 years with the space trading company, but she had never seen a farming station like the one floating near Jupiter's moons. The report said someone there was growing food in ways that seemed impossible. Plants were growing faster and bigger than anyone thought they could in space. Her name is Luna, Station Chief Rodriguez explained as they walked toward the main greenhouse. She's been here for 2 years. Best farmer we've ever had, but she doesn't talk to people much. Maya looked at the notes on her tablet. Luna was from Earth's moon colonies, where people were known for being smart and quiet. Their families had lived in underground cities for over 100 years. But Luna's family was gone now. A terrible accident had destroyed her home colony when she was 25. Very few people from the moon settlements had survived. How many moon colonists made it to safety? Maya asked. Maybe 500 scattered across different space stations, Rodriguez said. Most of them have trouble fitting in with other people. Too sad about what they lost. But Luna is different. The main greenhouse was huge, filled with growing plants and machines that helped them grow. Screens showed which plants needed water, which ones needed more light, and which ones were ready to pick. In the middle of all this sat a young woman working at a computer. Her white hair was long and covered half her face as she typed. Luna, Rodriguez called out. I want you to meet Captain Chen from the trading company. She's here to learn about our new farming methods. The woman looked up and Maya felt surprised. Not because Luna was pretty, but because of the sadness in her dark eyes. The right side of her face had deep burn marks from some old accident. Her right eye was cloudy and couldn't see, while her left eye was the bright blue that all moon people had. Captain, Luna said. Her voice was soft and musical like all moon people, but quieter than most. I understand you want to know about our growing systems. Maya found herself staring, but not for the reasons Luna probably thought. There was something special about the way Luna sat, the careful way she moved, and the intelligence that showed in her good eye despite the sadness she carried. Please, just call me Maya, she said, sitting in the chair across from Luna's desk. Yes, I hope you can help me understand how you're growing food so well out here. Luna's scarred face showed surprise. You want to know about my work? Your results are amazing, Maya said honestly. The growing systems you've built are better than anything I've seen from the best agricultural schools. For a moment, something flickered in Luna's blue eye. Maybe pride, or just surprise that someone cared about her work instead of how she looked. Then she caught herself and let her hair fall forward again as she turned back to her screens. I guess when you can't do much else, you learn to be useful somehow, she said quietly. Maya leaned forward, looking at the growing charts Luna had made. This is brilliant work, Luna. The way you've figured out how to make plants grow in low gravity, it's not just farming, it's real science. Plants are more than just seeds, Luna replied, her fingers moving across the keyboard as she showed examples of her work. Every type of plant needs different things to grow well. The tomatoes need more water because they come from wet places on Earth, while the grain plants need less water because they're from dry places. You can't just plant everything the same way. You have to understand what each plant really needs. As Luna explained her methods, Maya found herself drawn into the conversation. There was excitement in Luna's voice when she talked about plants and farming, an enthusiasm that made her scarred face light up. She moved her hands as she spoke, forgetting to hide behind her hair, and Maya realized that what she was seeing wasn't damaged beauty, but a different kind of beauty entirely. You're staring, Luna said suddenly, her voice flat as she noticed Maya's attention. I'm sorry, Maya said, but she didn't look away. I was just thinking that you have the most expressive face I've ever seen. When you talk about plants, you completely change. Luna's hand moved quickly to cover the scarred side of her face. I know what I look like, Maya. You don't have to pretend. I'm not pretending anything, Maya replied gently. I'm seeing exactly what's in front of me. A monster, Luna said bitterly. That's what the other workers call me when they think I can't hear. The moon girl who got burned up in the accident. Maya was quiet for a long moment, studying Luna's face with the same attention she'd shown her farming work. Do you know what I see when I look at you, Luna? Luna shook her head, clearly expecting either pity or lies. I see someone who survived something that would have killed most people, Maya said. I see intelligence and kindness and a strength that goes very deep. I see someone who uses her own pain to help feed others who are hungry and afraid. She paused, meeting Luna's blue eye directly. I see beauty. Luna stared at her as if Maya had spoken in a language she couldn't understand. You can't really mean that. Why can't I? Because I'm. She pointed at her scars. Because I'm not what your people find attractive. I'm not what any people find attractive anymore. Maya sat back in her chair, thinking about her words carefully. Luna, what if beauty isn't about meeting some perfect standard? What if it's about seeing someone clearly and finding them worth admiring? Before Luna could answer, Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system. All workers, we have 3 supply ships asking for immediate docking permission. Luna, we need food loading services on docks 2, 4, and 6. Luna immediately turned back to her computer, her professional attitude snapping into place. But as Maya watched her coordinate the complex loading procedures with calm efficiency, speaking to different ship crews in 3 different languages within 10 minutes, she realized that Luna had no idea how remarkable she truly was. When the immediate crisis was over, Maya stood to leave. Luna, would you be willing to work with me on developing a comprehensive farming guide for space stations? Your knowledge would be invaluable. Luna looked up at her with obvious confusion. You want to work with me on a long-term project? I can't think of anyone I'd rather work with, Maya said honestly. As Maya left the greenhouse, she heard Luna whisper behind her, I could never be beautiful to an Earth person. But as Maya walked back to her ship, she found herself thinking that Luna had never been more wrong about anything in her life. 3 weeks into their partnership, Maya had learned that getting Luna to accept compliments was like trying to teach a space cat to swim. Every time Maya praised her work, her ideas, or even something as simple as her choice of tea, Luna deflected with the practiced ease of someone who had spent years believing herself unworthy of positive attention. The growing system you developed for the root vegetables is revolutionary, Maya said, reviewing Luna's latest work in the greenhouse. You've managed to triple their growth rate while making them more nutritious than anything grown on Earth. Luna's shoulders tensed slightly, her scarred fingers pausing over the keyboard. It's just basic chemistry. Anyone could have figured it out. No, Luna. Anyone couldn't have, Maya replied patiently. I've been studying agricultural science for 15 years, and I've never seen anything like this. You have an understanding of how plants work that goes far beyond technical knowledge. Luna turned away from her, her white hair creating its familiar curtain between them. You don't have to say things like that. Like what? Nice things. Flattering things. I know you mean well, but... She trailed off, her voice barely above a whisper. Maya moved her chair closer, careful not to invade Luna's personal space, but wanting to close some of the distance Luna kept between herself and the world. Luna, what happened to you? Not the physical injuries, I can see those. But what happened to make you believe that kindness is somehow fake? For a long moment, Luna was silent, her blue eye focused on the data flowing across her screens. When she finally spoke, her voice carried the weight of old pain. Moon colony culture is built around perfection, she said slowly. Our technology, our cities, our social systems, everything is designed to work perfectly without any flaws. Physical perfection, technical perfection, even perfect logical thinking. Maya waited, sensing that Luna needed to tell this story at her own pace. I was born into the engineering families. My parents designed life support systems, the machines that kept everyone alive in the underground cities. I was good at it, maybe even gifted. Her hand moved unconsciously to trace the scars on her right cheek. When the accident happened at our colony, it was caused by a system failure that released toxic gases. Most people died quickly. Those of us who survived were left with permanent damage. And the other moon colonists couldn't accept that, Maya finished quietly. More than that, we were seen as failures in a culture that didn't allow for failure. The moon colonists who escaped to other places couldn't stand to look at us. We were living reminders of what they'd lost, walking symbols of imperfection in a society that had spent generations perfecting itself. Maya felt anger building in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. So they abandoned you. They gave us money, transportation, even job opportunities. But they couldn't give us acceptance. How could they? Looking at us was like looking at their own worst fears made real. Luna's laugh was bitter as winter wind. Do you know what it's like to have your own people flinch when they see you? I can't imagine, Maya said honestly. But I can understand why you might have trouble believing that someone from a different world could see you differently. Luna turned to look at her directly, her blue eyes searching Maya's face for signs of deception or pity. Why don't you flinch? Why don't you look away? Maya considered the question seriously. Because when I look at you, I don't see damage. I see someone who survived something impossible and chose to use that experience to help others. I see intelligence and compassion and a kind of quiet strength that I find. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Extraordinarily beautiful. That's impossible, Luna said, but her voice lacked conviction. Earth people have beauty standards just like every other culture. You can't possibly find scars and damage attractive. You're right that Earth people have beauty standards, Maya agreed. But beauty isn't just about physical symmetry or perfect features. Some of the most beautiful Earth people in our history have been considered unconventional by the standards of their time. Before Luna could respond, the sound of approaching voices interrupted their conversation. A group of station workers had entered the administrative area, their voices carrying the casual cruelty that Maya had learned to recognize among certain types of space workers. I don't know why they let that thing work in the main areas, one of them was saying. Bad enough we have to share space with outsiders, but at least most of them don't look like they crawled out of a disaster zone. Maya felt Luna stiffen beside her, her whole body drawing inward as if she could make herself invisible. The transformation was heartbreaking. The confident, passionate woman Maya had been talking with disappeared, replaced by someone who seemed to be trying to fold in on herself. Maybe someone should suggest they keep the freak in the back rooms where normal people don't have to see it, another voice added with the casual malice of someone who'd never faced real hardship. Maya was on her feet before she realized she was moving, her military training overriding her diplomatic instincts. Excuse me, she said loudly enough to get their attention. Are you talking about Luna? The three workers turned toward her, their expressions shifting from casual cruelty to wariness when they saw her uniform and rank insignia. Just making conversation, Captain, the apparent leader said with false politeness. Good, Maya replied, her voice carrying the kind of authority that came from years of command experience. Because I'd hate for there to be any misunderstanding about the fact that Luna is the most competent professional I've worked with in 15 years of service. Her expertise has improved food production and saved resources for every person who works on the station. The workers exchanged glances, clearly recognizing that they'd picked the wrong target for their casual bigotry. Of course, Captain. We meant no disrespect. I'm sure you didn't, Maya said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. And I'm sure you'll remember that in the future. After they left, Maya turned back to find Luna staring at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Her blue eye was bright with unshed tears, but there was something else there too, confusion, perhaps, or wonder. Why did you do that? Luna asked quietly. Because they were wrong, Maya said simply. And because someone needed to say so. Luna was quiet for a long moment, her scarred fingers tracing patterns on the desk surface. When she spoke again, her voice was barely audible. I've never had anyone defend me before. Maya felt something shift in her chest, a protective instinct that went beyond professional courtesy or even friendship. Well, you do now. For the first time since Maya had known her, Luna really smiled, not the careful, self-deprecating expression she usually wore. It transformed her entire face, making the scars seem like silver threads in a tapestry rather than marks of damage. Thank you, she said, and Maya realized that she would do anything to see that smile again. The emergency came at dawn, 3 days after Maya had defended Luna from the workers' cruelty. Maya was reviewing agricultural reports in her temporary quarters when the station's alarms began wailing, red emergency lights painting the corridors in hellish crimson. All personnel to emergency stations, Rodriguez's voice crackled through the communication system. We have multiple asteroid fragments on collision course with the station. This is not a drill. Maya ran through the corridors toward the greenhouse, dodging panicked workers and overwhelmed security personnel. The asteroid shower had come without warning, a result of a mining accident in the nearby asteroid belt. The station's shields could handle small debris, but some of the fragments were large enough to cause serious damage. She found Luna at her workstation, calmly coordinating emergency procedures while space debris streaked past the station's viewports. Her scarred fingers flew across multiple keyboards as she managed the automated systems that would protect the growing plants during the crisis. Greenhouse Section 7, you need to activate emergency shields now, she was saying while typing commands to protect the delicate seedlings. Section 12 has new growth that can't survive without environmental protection. Luna, Maya said, settling into the station beside her. What's our status? 47 large fragments, heavy impact potential, she replied without looking up from her screens. The main computer is overloaded trying to track everything, but I've managed to manually control the critical systems. The food supply should survive if we can maintain environmental integrity for the next 20 minutes. Can we do that? Luna's blue eye flicked toward the tactical display showing the station's defensive systems. Maybe. The shield generators are working at maximum capacity, and the emergency power systems are holding. But if we lose main power, all the growing systems will shut down and we'll lose months of food production. A massive impact shook the station and several of Luna's environmental control systems went dark. Sparks showered from damaged conduits and the acrid smell of burning electronics filled the air. The primary power coupling is down, Maya reported, checking the damage assessments. We've lost environmental control for sections 4 through 8. I can reroute through the backup systems, Luna said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. But someone needs to physically access the power junction in Section 5. Maya checked the station schematics, her heart sinking as she saw the location. Section 5 is directly in the path of the debris field. It's a suicide mission. Then I'll go, Luna said simply, already rising from her chair. Like hell you will, Maya replied, grabbing her arm gently but firmly. I'm not letting you throw your life away. Luna looked down at Maya's hand on her arm, then up at her face with an expression of profound confusion. Maya, my life isn't worth the same as yours. You have a career, a future, people who care about you. I'm just a scarred farmer who grows vegetables. The casual way she dismissed her own value hit Maya like a physical blow. Luna, that's not true. I'm expendable, Luna interrupted. We both know it. I can make the repairs and restore power, and if I don't make it back, the loss is minimal. Maya stood up, moving to block her path to the door. You want to know what I see when I look at you? I see the most beautiful person I've ever known. Not because of how you look, but because of who you are. And I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself because you can't see your own worth. Luna stared at her as if Maya had spoken in an alien language. You can't possibly mean that. I've never meant anything more in my life, Maya said, her hands gently framing Luna's scarred face. Your scars don't make you less beautiful, Luna. They make you more beautiful because they're proof that you survived something that would have broken most people. They're proof that you're stronger than anything the universe has thrown at you. For a moment, something flickered in Luna's blue eye, hope perhaps, or the beginning of belief. Then another impact shook the station, and the moment was lost as they both remembered the crisis at hand. We can argue about this later, Maya said. Right now, we need to restore power and we're going together. Maya. Together, she repeated firmly. You handle the technical repairs, I'll handle security. We watch each other's backs. The journey to Section 5 was a nightmare of collapsed corridors and emergency lighting. They crawled through maintenance tunnels filled with smoke, avoided areas that had been breached by debris, and navigated around sections that had lost atmosphere due to hull damage. When they finally reached the power junction, Luna went to work with the focused intensity that Maya had come to admire. Her scarred fingers moved with surgical precision as she bypassed damaged circuits and rerouted power flows, her musical voice murmuring technical specifications as she worked. How long? Maya asked, watching the corridor for signs of structural failure. 5 more minutes, Luna replied, sweat beading on her forehead as she worked. The damage is worse than I thought, but I can compensate if. The explosion came without warning, a direct impact on the section above them that sent debris cascading through the power junction. Maya threw herself over Luna, shielding her from the falling metal and concrete, but not before a jagged piece of bulkhead sliced across Luna's left temple. Are you hurt? Maya asked, helping her sit up as blood trickled down Luna's face. I'm fine, Luna said automatically, though she was clearly shaken. The repairs are almost complete. I just need to. She stopped speaking as she noticed the way Maya was looking at her. Maya's eyes were wide with concern, her hands gentle as she examined Luna's new injury. And there was something in her expression that Luna had never seen directed at her before. You're looking at me like I matter, Luna whispered. Because you do matter, Maya replied, carefully cleaning the blood from Luna's temple with her sleeve. You matter more than you know. I don't understand, Luna said, her voice breaking slightly. I'm not beautiful. I'm not whole. I'm not worthy of this kind of attention. Maya leaned back on her heels, studying Luna's face in the emergency lighting. The new cut on her temple would heal, but it would probably leave another scar to join the constellation already marking her features. But when Maya looked at her, she didn't see damage. She saw courage, intelligence, and a kind of inner light that made her absolutely luminous. "Luna," she said quietly, "beauty isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. It's about kindness and strength and the way someone makes you feel when you're with them." She touched the new cut gently, her thumb tracing the line of blood. "Every scar you carry is proof that you chose to keep fighting when it would have been easier to give up." How could I not find that beautiful? The power systems hummed back to life as Luna's repairs took effect, but neither of them paid attention to the success. They were too focused on each other, on the moment when Luna finally began to believe that someone could see her as more than the sum of her damages. "We should get back," Maya said finally, though she made no move to leave. "Yes," Luna agreed, though she also remained perfectly still. It wasn't until the sound of approaching rescue teams echoed through the corridors that they finally broke apart. But something fundamental had changed between them. As they made their way back to the greenhouse, Luna walked differently, not hunched and hidden, but upright and present in a way that Maya had never seen before. When they finally reached safety, Rodriguez was waiting with a status report. "Thanks to your work, we managed to save 95% of our food production systems. You prevented what could have been a catastrophic loss." But Maya wasn't listening to the commendations. She was watching Luna, seeing the way she finally allowed herself to stand in the light instead of hiding in the shadows, and thinking that she had never seen anything more beautiful in her life. The job offer arrived 3 weeks after the asteroid emergency, transmitted directly from the Agricultural Council's headquarters on Mars. Senior Director of Space Farming Development, stationed at the main research facility with oversight of food production systems across the entire solar system. It was the kind of career advancement that agricultural specialists dreamed about, the culmination of 15 years of dedicated service. Maya stared at the message for a long time, then walked to the observation deck where she and Luna had taken to meeting each evening to watch the stars wheel slowly past the station's viewports. "You're leaving?" Luna said without preamble when she saw Maya's expression. It wasn't a question. "I've been offered a promotion," Maya replied, settling beside her on the bench they'd claimed as their own. "The Agricultural Council wants me to oversee food production development for the entire solar system." Luna nodded, her scarred features carefully neutral. "That's wonderful. You've worked hard for an opportunity like this." Maya studied her profile, noting the way Luna held herself poised for abandonment, prepared for the inevitable departure of someone who had somehow become important to her. "I haven't accepted yet." "Why not?" "Because I'm not sure I want it." Luna turned to look at her with surprise. "Maya, this is your career. It's everything you've been working toward." "Is it?" Maya asked. 3 months ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. But that was before I understood what I'd be leaving behind. "You mean the farming research?" "I mean you," Maya said simply. "I mean the life we've started building together, the work that actually matters instead of just advancing my career." Luna was quiet for a long moment, her blue eye fixed on the stars beyond the viewport. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "You can't build a life around someone like me, Maya. I'm not. I'm not the kind of person who gets happy endings." "Why not?" "Because look at me," she said, gesturing to her scars with the familiar self-deprecation that Maya had learned to recognize as a defense mechanism. "I'm damaged goods. Eventually, you'll realize that and move on to someone who can give you what you deserve." Maya turned to face her fully, her expression serious. "Luna, do you trust me?" "Of course." "Then trust me when I tell you that you are the most beautiful woman I've ever known." Not despite your scars, but including them. They're part of your story, part of what makes you who you are, and I wouldn't change a single thing about you. You say that now. I'll say it tomorrow and next year and for as long as you'll let me, Maya interrupted. Beauty fades, Luna, physical beauty anyway. But the kind of beauty you have, the strength, the kindness, the way you light up when you talk about helping people, that only grows stronger with time. Before Luna could respond, Rodriguez's voice echoed through the station's communication system. All residents and staff, please gather in the main assembly hall for a special announcement. They made their way to the hall along with hundreds of other workers and their families. The massive space filled with the babble of conversation in dozens of languages. Rodriguez stood at the podium, her expression unusually serious. As many of you know, she began, the recent asteroid emergency has forced a re-evaluation of our safety situation. The Agricultural Council has determined that this station is too vulnerable to continue housing such important food production research. A murmur of concern rippled through the crowd, families clutching each other as they faced the prospect of another displacement. However, Rodriguez continued, we have received authorization to establish a new, more secure facility in the outer asteroid belt. The relocation will begin next month, and all current staff will be accommodated in improved facilities designed specifically for long-term agricultural research. Maya felt Luna tense beside her as the implications became clear. The new facility would be nearly 1 billion kilometers from the Mars headquarters, making Maya's promotion essentially incompatible with any possibility of maintaining their relationship. After the meeting, they walked back to the observation deck in silence, both processing the weight of decisions that could no longer be delayed. You have to take the promotion, Luna said finally. It's too important to pass up. I've already sent my response, Maya replied. Luna stopped walking, her scarred features cycling through confusion and hope. What did you tell them? I requested a transfer to the Deep Space Agricultural Division, specifically to serve as Senior Research Coordinator for the new facility. Maya, you can't. That's career suicide. No, Maya said, taking Luna's hands in hers. That's choosing what matters over what looks good on paper. That's choosing a life of meaning over a life of advancement. My career will be fine, maybe different than I planned, but fine. Besides, she smiled, I have it on good authority that they need someone to help develop comprehensive space farming protocols. Someone who understands that real agriculture is about more than just growing plants. Luna stared at her as if Maya had revealed the ability to fly. You're really staying? I'm really staying, Maya confirmed. If you'll have me. 6 months later, Maya stood at the edge of the cultural celebration hall in the new facility, watching as workers from dozens of different worlds shared food, music, and stories from their home planets. The event had been Luna's idea, a way to help displaced populations maintain connections to their heritage while building new communities together. She's remarkable, Dr. James Park said, joining Maya at her observation post. The facility's head of psychological services had become a close friend over the past months. The integration programs she's developed are changing how we approach worker rehabilitation across the entire agricultural network. Maya watched as Luna moved through the crowd, her white hair no longer hidden behind a curtain, but pulled back to reveal her scarred features openly. She wore traditional Moon Colony ceremonial robes, deep silver fabric that seemed to flow like liquid starlight, with blue threading that caught the light as she moved. The scars on her face were clearly visible, but they no longer seemed like marks of damage. Instead, they looked like silver rivers flowing across a landscape of quiet strength. She's beautiful, Maya said, the words carrying a conviction that came from months of seeing Luna grow into her own sense of worth. Finally starting to believe it herself, too, Dr. Park observed. When she first arrived at this facility, she could barely make eye contact with anyone. Now look at her. Luna was currently helping a group of young workers from Europa learn to grow earth vegetables while their supervisors watched with grateful expressions. Her laugh rang out across the hall, genuine and unguarded in a way that still made Maya's heart skip beats. "Maya," she called out, waving her over. "Come help me explain soil chemistry to the new trainees." As she made her way through the crowd, Maya marveled at the transformation. The woman who had once believed herself unworthy of kindness was now the emotional center of a community that included over 2,000 workers from 38 different worlds. Her work had expanded far beyond farming. She now ran counseling programs for trauma survivors, cultural integration workshops, and the interspecies cooperation sessions that had become legendary throughout the agricultural network. "The nitrogen represents the foundation of growth," Luna was explaining to the trainees in their own language, her scarred fingers demonstrating the soil preparation technique. "Even when we're far from our home worlds, we carry the knowledge of how to nurture life." One of the trainees, a young woman from Europa with the pale skin that marked the ice moon dwellers, looked up at Luna with the kind of innocent curiosity that only the young possessed. "Why do you have marks on your face?" she asked in halting standard. The question might have sent the old Luna into retreat, but this version simply smiled and knelt down to the trainee's eye level. "These are my survival marks," she said gently. "They tell the tale of a time when I was hurt, but chose to keep living and growing. Would you like to hear about it?" Maya watched as Luna shared an appropriate version of her survival story, transforming her trauma into a lesson about resilience and hope. The trainees listened with rapt attention, their supervisors exchanging glances of approval and recognition. Later that evening, after the celebration had wound down and the last families had returned to their quarters, Maya and Luna found themselves alone in the facility's garden, a space that Luna had designed to include plants from dozens of homeworlds, creating a living tapestry of memories and hope. "Regrets?" Luna asked, settling beside her on their favorite bench among the bioluminescent flowers that reminded her of the moon colonies. "About turning down the promotion?" "Never," Maya replied without hesitation. "About leaving my old life behind?" "Not for a second. Even though you could have been running agricultural development for the entire solar system by now?" Maya turned to face her, taking in the way the garden's soft lighting played across her features, making the silver threads in her scars gleam like precious metal. "Luna, do you know what I was doing before I met you? Processing reports, managing data streams, important work maybe, but not meaningful work. Now I'm helping to rebuild lives, to create communities, to prove that different cultures can not only coexist but thrive together." "We're doing that," Luna corrected. "This is our work now." "Our work," Maya agreed, reaching for her hand. "Our life." Luna smiled, the expression transforming her entire face in a way that never failed to take Maya's breath away. "I never thought I could have this," she said quietly. "A partner, a purpose, a place where I belong." "Because you thought beauty was about perfection?" "Because I thought I was broken beyond repair," Luna replied. "I spent so many years believing that my scars made me less than whole, less worthy of love or respect or even basic kindness." Maya brought Luna's scarred hand to her lips, pressing a gentle kiss to the damaged skin. "And now?" "Now I understand that being broken and being worthless aren't the same thing," Luna said. "Now I know that sometimes the most beautiful things are the ones that have been shattered and put back together with love." Above them, the artificial sky was painted with the aurora patterns that the facility used to mark the end of each day, a reminder that even in the depths of space, far from any natural homeworld, beauty could be created through intention and care. "I love you," Maya said, the words carrying all the conviction of someone who had discovered what really mattered in life. I love you too, Luna replied, no longer surprised by the truth of it. My beautiful Earthwoman who taught me that beauty is something you see with the heart. As they sat together in the garden they had created, surrounded by the flowers of a dozen worlds and the soft sounds of a community at peace, Maya reflected on how much had changed since that first day in the Jupiter Station greenhouse. She had thought she was just meeting a talented farmer. Instead, she had found the other half of her soul, scarred, beautiful, perfect in all her imperfections, and absolutely worthy of every good thing the universe could offer. Luna had learned that beauty wasn't about meeting impossible standards or achieving flawless symmetry. It was about authenticity, about kindness, about the courage to keep growing even after being broken. It was about allowing yourself to be seen and loved exactly as you are. And in the quiet sanctuary of their shared life, surrounded by the proof of what was possible when people chose to see with their hearts instead of their eyes, they both understood that some kinds of beauty could only be recognized by those brave enough to look beyond the surface to the luminous truth beneath.